Well, welcome back to What's Up Wednesday. This Wednesday, we're going to talk about how old are you? Well, maybe how old am I? Anyway, this is going to take you guys back on a trip to your childhood. Now, as a child, I can remember the first thing I could hear audio that was recorded on. Think back when you were a kid. What was the first thing that you remember hearing somebody play music on? Was it a phonograph? Was it a reel to reel player? What was the first thing you remember? For me, the first thing I remember ever hearing music played on was a reel to reel player that my mom and dad had. My mom would put this reel to reel to playing, and she'd do housework most of the day. And it was playing what we now call oldies, which back then was 60s and 70s music. So that's what I can remember the oldest thing. Now, if you go back in history, some of the first things to record and play music on was a Victrola, and some of the first ones actually had a cylinder. It wasn't a flat disc like the vinyl that you see now. It was actually a cylinder that went on there, and the cylinder actually had aluminum foil on it, some kind of aluminum foil, not like you cook with. But that didn't turn out to be very good to do. So what they did is they went back and used wax. So the wax on it, you could actually talk to this recorder, and it would record it into the wax. It'd make little dots and dips in it, just kind of like a phonograph, like a record, a vinyl record is. Um, but it wasn't a soft wax; it was a hard wax. So it's not like you'd wax your car. This was actually a hard cylinder. And I'll put a picture. I've got a picture of one of the cylinders, so I'll show you what it looks like. Now, that's as far back as I could search to find what was the first thing that they did. I'm sure probably there was something else. I don't know, but that was one of the first things. Now, the second thing is a phonograph, and a phonograph works kind of the same way the first one did. And I think the first ones actually were called a recorder. Um, or something like. I may be wrong. You guys can tell me in the comments below of how bad I'm messing this up. But I think it was called a recorder. Anyway, the phonograph come along, and they used flat disc. For you young kids like my grandkids, you may not remember vinyl records and phonographs, but they were very popular way back. Like I remember seeing movies and TV shows back from the 40s and 50s where they had phonographs, especially in the 50s. Like Happy Days was supposed to be in the 50s, is what it was set as. And they had jukeboxes that actually played what they called a 45, which was a smaller version of an LP album. And LP stood for long play. And it was also, I think those were 33 and a half, I think is what they were. And all of them were like 33 and a half, 45, 78s. And that all meant RPMs. That's how many RPMs it took on a phonograph to spin it to make the sound right. But an LP was a long play, and it had multiple songs on each side of it. So you flipped it over and started it again. And all that was done with a needle on an arm that actually rode across all the marks that was engraved into this disc. And that's what made the sound. So it's kind of interesting if you go back and look at where we've come from. Now, from the phonographs, well, going back to the music boxes or jukeboxes or whatever, if they had several different names. Some of the most famous ones, I think, was called Victrolas. I think that's right, Victrolas. I don't know. You guys can tell me how bad I'm messing this up. But anyway, I just thought it would be fun to do the history. Trey and I were talking earlier this week about how far technology had come. And I just thought, wow, man, I should just do a video on how old are you, because reel to reel is pretty old, even though a lot of the recording studios up until, I don't know, the last 10 years or so, I guess, we're still using reel to reel. And there may still be some using it because it does very well in capturing tracks. And by tracks, I mean you can do kind of like they do with the new digital stuff now. You could do a track of the drums, a track of the guitar, a track of the vocal, and you could add them all together. So that's the reason they used them. So going back to the phonographs, once you got past the jukeboxes, you started seeing a thing that was called an 8-track tape. Now, an 8-track tape, best I can remember, got popular somewhere in the 70s, mid 70s, late 70s, I guess. And I'll show you a picture of that too. And by the way, I have working pieces of all of these. I have working examples. So I have an 8-track player and a cassette player and a reel to reel. I have all this stuff. Anyway, one day when we get our new studio done, I will actually have all this stuff set up as a display because it all works. And I'll do a video showing you guys some of that stuff so you can actually see it working in real life. Some of it's kind of interesting. And I'm just rambling on, so I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm just trying to take you down memory lane. But if you go back and look at the 8-track tapes, it was not uncommon to have a pack of matches. There's you another one, a pack of matches. Anybody see those anymore? It was a book. It was a book of matches, and it was about the size of one of these pads and Post-it notes, a little bit smaller. Anyway, the cover flipped over on it, and you had a striker on the front. And you could strike the match, but you better close the cover because you could actually ignite the whole pack. And sometimes those kids did it on purpose. But anyway, if the 8-track tape wasn't tracking just right, wasn't playing just right, you could stick that pack of matches in under it and tighten it up and make it play right. And I know a lot of you that had the 8-tracks know exactly what I'm talking about. But the 8-track tape was really like a modern feat. I still to this day don't really understand how that worked. But I'll put a picture on there that shows an open one where you can see it. But it was the first continuous play that you could just plug into a record or a player, and it would play 24/7 if you just left it going. But it would change tracks. That's why they called it an 8-track tape. And you could hear the head changing, and the head was going from this track, and then it dropped, and then it dropped, and then it dropped, and then it would start back over. But some of the things I remember about the 8-track tapes was sometimes the players would eat the tape, literally like start chewing it up inside and wadding it up. But if you caught it early, sometimes you could pull it back out and save it, but it'd be hung out of the bottom of the tape as far. But if you do it just right, get just enough slack, you could take it and pull it real fast, and it would suck it back up inside the player, which was always amazing to me. Again, I still don't know how they worked. I took one apart to see it. I still don't make sense to me how that works. But they had really good sound to them, and it also allowed for the first time for you to be able to take your music with you in a boat, in a car. Elvis Presley even had one in his jet. So that was the first time you were able to actually take your music with you. Other than, I mean, I guess if you really got fancy, you could have taken a reel to reel with you and stuff if you had a way to plug it up and power it. But anyway, the first modern music was to be able to be taken mobile was 8-track tape. The next one that came along was what they called a compact cassette. Now, the reason that they called it a compact cassette was if you look at a cassette tape, it has 2 small wheels in it. And it looks a lot like a reel-to-reel with 2 small wheels set up there side by side. So they made a compact reel-to-reel is what they did. But it was just like the reel-to-reel. Once the tape ran out, it came off the end. You had to reset it, rewind it, reset it. Now, with a compact, it didn't come off the end, but it just stopped. And then you had to take it out, flip it around, put it back in the player, and you could play side 2 or an A and B side, just like albums or records. But that was the reason they came along with that is because 8-track tapes had their own problems, but the biggest problem was storage. 8-track tapes were pretty good size. They were like about the size of a slice of bread and about 2 or 3 times as thick as a slice of bread. So if you had a pretty good collection, it took a lot of storage, and especially in a car, your glove boxes and everything else would be full, and it just wasn't practical. So they came along with the compact. So the compact cassette took its place, and boy, you could have like 6 compact cassettes for the size of maybe even 8 for the size of an 8-track. So that's how they came along, and in my opinion, that's why they came along was because of the storage and the simplicity of it. Now, the players would occasionally eat these too, and if they did, then some of you's probably seen on Facebook and other places these memes where they have a compact tape and they'll have a pencil laying beside it, and then it'll say, "You know if you know," or something like that. And what would happen is if it pulled it out and you was able to save the tape without it tearing it, you could actually put the pencil in the end of it where the little cogs on the wheel were, and you could use that thing to spin it and wind it back into it. So next time you see that, if you didn't know what they were talking about, that's what they're talking about. So the days of compact cassettes, it kind of came and went too, because what replaced it was the CD, the compact disc. And the compact disc and the DVDs, they were great because you could take a compact disc and put hours and hours, I'm talking about hundreds of songs on a compact disc. And it was easy to store. I mean, they're wafer thin, so you can put a lot of disc and a lot of music right there in the palm of your hand, and 10, 12 discs, and play them for a week. But that's how come they came along. And then you could only do music on a CD, so they had to have a DVD. Well, the DVD was for video. So once you had those two, boy, it was great. And then one day they came out with this thing called a Light Scribe. And the Light Scribe, you could actually put your CD or DVD in there and put your cover pictures or whatever you wanted to name it, and it would actually etch it on the outside of the CD or DVD for you, which at the time was just amazing. Now these days, you have all kinds of stuff, ways to have your disc and other things engraved and etched, and you can even have printed stickers to put on them. There's all kinds of stuff. But the days of CDs and DVDs have kind of went in the way of the compact disc, that people just don't use them like they used to because the MP3 and MP4 players came along and replaced them. Now, that's digital, so there is no physical media that you have to hang on to. If you can put it on, like my grandson, my oldest grandson, he's 17 now, but he has his first iPod that he got when he was 3 years old. Well, it still has all the music on it that I loaded on it originally, which is the oldies now. And he still uses it and listens to it. He's 17 years old and it still works. And the screen's not even broke. Imagine that. But all of that is in a small iPod, really small. I even have one on my motorcycle in the trunk. If you guys remember the iPod watches, they were about this big, little bitty. And it holds hours and hours of music, and it plays through my radio on my Goldwing. So technology kept evolving. Well, MP3 and MP4 is fine, but now all of a sudden you can put it on a thumb drive. Well, a thumb drive will hold as much as that MP3 player, the iPod, and more, because they have made the thumb drives to where they'll hold so much more information now. I'm still amazed when I go back and see the old thumb drives versus the new ones, and how much more they will hold. It's just amazing. It's like, I kind of skimmed over, but we're not really talking about data stuff. But we're talking about floppy disk and then what was it, the 3.5 disc, and all that. Technology just keeps evolving. So I'm a little bit of a techno geek. I'm a lot of a techno geek, but things just keep changing, and to me, it's just really fun to watch it and see where we've came from. Now, I'm a little over 60, and I'm telling you that some of the first things I can remember was a reel-to-reel. Reel-to-reels are actually coming back. Go Google it and look it up. I think it's Ballfinger, I think's the name of it, is actually coming out with some new ones. Again, they were super great technology back in their day, and I think the nostalgia, just like phonographs, records, and stuff, has come back here in the last 5 years or so, I guess. In fact, I used to give my grandson, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I would give him $20 and we'd go to the record store and we'd buy old records and stuff to go on a phonograph. Well, they were 50 cents, $1, maybe $2 or $3 for a really good one. But now you can't buy hardly any kind of vinyl for less than $2 or $3, $5 for one. and he used to walk out of there with a whole handful for $20. So all that stuff's coming back. I think reel to reel is probably going to come back. It's just superior to a lot of things, in my opinion, still. Um, but you move forward to today, and you have things called like beat boxes and stuff, where you can actually hit a button and you can play the guitar, and then you hit another button and play the drums. You can become your own one-man band, and it works really well. So again, technology is really evolving. So we get up to the MP3 and MP4 players, and I'm thinking we've probably hit the ceiling. That's probably about all we're going to be able to do. And then they come out with this thing called the cloud. It's not really a cloud, it's just a bunch of servers connected that they call a cloud. But now you can do streaming. So you can do like what is it, YouTube Music and Pandora, and there's a lot of them out there. You just pick what you want to listen to, and then it will stream it across your device, just like me talking to you today. This wasn't possible a few years ago. You had to really be into like TV and that kind of stuff to be able to do this. Today, I can stream to you just like I'm doing now, but I'm recording it to put it out later. But we do streaming here, and when we do, I mean, literally, I'm talking to you on a microphone that's just out of sight, and right in front of me, there is a small piece of plastic with a camera about the size of my thumb, and that's what you're seeing me do this with. So it doesn't take a whole lot to stream these days like it used to. So again, technology just keeps going, and I'm really, really interested to see where it goes from here. If you guys think you know what the next thing is that's coming out, that's just gonna be revolutionary to the tech world, put it in the comments below, because I'm truly interested in what you guys think is coming next. I have no idea. I keep trying to think, what could possibly beat this? And I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I was kind of up on where when Bluetooth came along. I kind of knew that probably was the next transition with wireless and stuff. So I wasn't real surprised at that. But now I have no idea what's coming next. But again, I'm getting older. Maybe it's getting away from me. Maybe it's getting too fast for me. But I still really enjoy this stuff. Going back, I was talking about albums and stuff. Do you guys remember it was called Laserdisc? I've still got a Laserdisc player and two big containers full of Laserdisc. Laserdisc, it didn't really make it. It came out and it was kind of a flop. But the discs were about the size of a LP, like an album for a record player. In fact, they were just a little bit bigger. But they come in a cover. If you guys remember the albums, they came in a cardboard cover, that always had some kind of artwork on it from the band and that kind of stuff, maybe the lyrics. And but these have the discs stored inside of them, kind of like that, but they're a plastic with a door on them, kind of like the VHR, VHS. That's something else we didn't talk about. There's another evolution that evolved in video was not the DVD, the VCR. So you had the VHS. Man, I'm almost. You had the VHS tapes that went into a VCR. Too many acronyms. But again, you had to be kind and rewind. You guys remember that slogan? That was from most of the video stores. Because when you watched the video to the end of it, you had to rewind it. Well, if you took it back and turned it into whoever you were renting it from, if you didn't rewind it, they actually charged you to rewind that thing. So it really kind of behooved you to do it yourself. But again, I'm all over the place. I was just so interested in the fact that Trey and I was talking about how technology has evolved, and I just got to thinking, man, just in my lifetime, I cannot imagine my grandkids, what they're going to see in their lifetime and their grandkids. I mean, you look back to Star Wars. You guys remember Star Wars and, the beam me up Scotty type stuff, and they had what they called a communicator, and it was a flip up communicator, and they'd do the old bleep. Well, you guys remember Nextel? Yeah. Kind of had the communicator, didn't we? So I'm a believer that if we can think it, somebody probably is going to make it at some point. Humans are very smart when they want to be. But you had that, and then can't remember if it was can't remember who it was the movie. Anyway, they had lasers and they were blowing stuff up with it and cutting stuff with it. Well, yeah, that ain't far fetched now, is it? We do that now. In fact, I've got a laser that I just mess with the cat with. It's a laser and it makes the shape of a mouse, and I run around the floor and let the cat chase it. So you can tell I got a really exciting life, can't you? But anyway, Callie likes it. We like to let her play sometimes. So I won't drag this on. I just thought that I would talk to you guys about technology and where we've come from, and I don't know, maybe I've hit on a subject makes you have a fond memory of your childhood or something that happened, or maybe a piece of equipment you had at one time that you just thought was the grandest thing when you first got it. I know for me, a lot of the things that I got technology wise when I first got it, I was more excited than a kid at Christmas when I got it. So anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If this has absolutely been a train wreck, well, give me the thumbs down. At least I'll know what you guys like. Comment below. Like I said, if you think you know what the next technology is, comment. Let me know. I truly am interested in what you guys think about that because I have no idea. No idea. I'm at a loss for it. If you'd have told me 20 years ago I could sit here and talk to this little piece of plastic here with a lens in it, and you guys could see me thousands of miles away and years from now, when you want to play it back, I would have thought you'd lost your mind. So, again, here we go. So, anyway, I'll let you guys go. I just thought this would be an interesting topic. So, till next week, make each day count 365 and continue the journey. I tell you guys this every week. Get out and see some of our beautiful country. It is gorgeous, and I promise you, I'll bet you less than 100 miles from your house, there's places you've never seen that you didn't even know existed because you didn't bother to go out and explore it. I promise. And if I'm wrong, put in the comments down there that I'm wrong and tell me why I'm wrong, but I'll guarantee you it's the case because just recently, I have experienced the same thing. I have found things here close to my house that I had no idea was here just because I was willing to get out and look. So, you guys do so. Anyway, till next week. We'll see you guys a little later. Bye now.